Alright, what's going on, guys? Nick here from Velocity Trading. In this video, I want to go over my trade from yesterday afternoon. You guys have been asking for it. So let's get into it. So CAAS yesterday was an interesting one. Yesterday. This thing was an EV play on CAAS. The float was around 11 million, 12 million, so not low, but like low enough for the market we're in and this 2020 year. We've seen stocks 10 million plus, squeeze, right? If the volume's there and price action's there, we can see a potential squeeze, right? So CAS did go in that squeeze. It wasn't right away. It took a lot of time to develop into that squeeze, but ended up playing out in my favor. So I want to go over, where I got in, where I got out. I took a loss on it earlier in the day, right around here, and I came back later in the day and made back my loss and a lot more. So let's get into it. So these are my charts from it. This is my chart from it. It's a 5-minute chart here. So my first entries on it were around like 10 a.m. here. So kind of my early thoughts I was thinking on it on CAS. This is the pre-market game plan too. It did go on a nice pre-market squeeze, which I did underestimate a little bit. And again, sometimes you will see this, move end up going, early on it. Obviously in this case it didn't. I just made a video on this actually. That sometimes we see these ones that go on pre-market squeezes end up being better wave 2, wave 3s. I did take a shot on it here on this wave 1. You can see I ended up taking a loss on it. So early plan on it was, watching for a wash trap and squeeze pattern after 10 a.m. Want to see it flush back into my support level. I had a 640 line, then I had like a 580, 590 backside line. You can see I never cracked it. That's why I kept an eye on it later. So took this early trade. Again, wasn't a super high quality setup on the first trade on it. So kind of my thoughts on it were, look for hopefully you get that morning pop, which it did, right? I had that morning pop into pre-market highs, trap some more shorts. Shorts like to short into that pop, into that morning strength. Flush out those longs who were, in there from the pre-market chasing this thing up. So flush out those longs, come back into 640, consolidate a little bit, and it was a fast move, right? It was a fast move. Again, hindsight 2020, but easier to say afterwards. Oh, Nick, you should have avoided that. You even made a video on this last week saying, big pre-market squeezers, especially if it's a bigger float too, tend to be better wave 2, wave 3 plays, just because of the amount of longs who are going to be trapped in there after the flush out. So I ended up taking it. Got in there around like 670s as a starter. And again, it was a starter size, right? Starter size. Plan was to add over 710 for that squeeze. Ended up having a stuff move there into VWAP. And I ended up getting stopped out there. So I lost about 1.2 R. So wasn't in there, big size. Took the loss well. I did take a bad loss last week. One of my worst trades of the year. I forgot the ticker name. But, I missized it. I got caught up with too much size, chasing it too high. And I got to realize the size I'm on, especially if I'm playing full size, it's best to really scale into that position, right? It's not always best to, look to, play that reclaim at the top full size. Can you do that? Yes, but, it's tricky, right? Especially when it has big range, it could easily, spike down 20 cents on you, 30 cents. You have 10,000 shares, and now you're down 2-3 R, and then it easily swipes back on up. So sometimes I like to do this, or I like to get in a little bit early. Again, I would say, being too early is one thing, and then kind of being there when it's starting to look a little bit better is another. So I was kind of in there when I saw like 670s. We're starting to hold a little bit. Goal was 710s, just didn't happen, so it stopped out there for a loss. And again, this goes back to something I said exactly after I took this trade yesterday. Was, accuracy is really overrated. Accuracy is very overrated. And I see people advertising, 70% accuracy, join my chat room. I think that's BS nonsense. I think someone showing or advertising their risk reward ratio being 3 to 1 or even higher, 4 to 1, even 2.5 to 1, solid, right? Two to 1's even solid. Strive to be 2.5, 3 to 1 are on average, or even more, right? I think that's much better, more important in the long run, because I like to say you can win 50% of the time, but if you're averaging three to 1 R's on your trading, um, you'll be successful. You'll be successful. But let's say you're averaging 70%, you could be unsuccessful. You can't be unsuccessful if you're averaging 3 to 1 R's and you're winning 50% of the time, but you can be unsuccessful if you're winning 70% of the time and your risk reward ratio is shit. So it's something very important right there. If you guys don't know what R's is, you gotta do your homework. All right, so after that, my mindset was okay. It failed there. I don't think it's 100% out of play. Easy to borrow, EV name. I'm interested if it could make a move later if it's not below backside line, which it wasn't. Backside line, like I said, was 580, 590. It did crack a little bit, but ultimately it came back up and held, and it just wasn't going away. Look at the chart here. This chart doesn't look like a completely broken chart, right? It doesn't look like a completely broken chart, right? It's just kind of going sideways here. You're kind of setting up, soaking the float, trapping more shorts, filtering out any stubborn longs, right? Waiting for that end of day squeeze out, right? So this was a little tricky. This was really trappy here, this action. And again, luckily I wasn't around for that. I came back on at a favorable time around 1-2 p.m. I did put out on Twitter too, around that 1 p.m., 1:15 time frame to watch CAAR for potential end of day play. So again, so you could see around 146. So I said around 146. I'm like, guys, CAAS is worth an eye this next hour. So around that 146 time. I mentioned it on CAAS to keep an eye on it. And let's see, what time did I got in? I got in around, so I said swipe. So this was the swiping action. We talk about this, so we had that swiping action here on CAAS. So was watching it around here. I believe I got in right around like the 660 area on it. Let me look back at my chart. I don't want to lose this though. So yeah, I got in right around there. So it swiped, it consolidated, got in there right around 660. Got in right around that. Just right around here, right around the 660 area as it was holding. And my stop loss was 640, guys. So this was a case where I played the over-under game. And again, it's not something I recommend everyone to do. I would say most people shouldn't do this. But it just comes from experience. I just saw the games on it, and I'm like, you know what? If I just give us a few more cents, I think it could end up swiping. I think it's going to go. I had that kind of that. Sometimes you call it like the spidey senses where, I just kind of had a feeling that, it could potentially hold it in. I didn't know for sure, but, I gave it just a little bit of an over-under, which is, you have a stop loss and you give it just a little room. Give it a little bit of a chance. Like, give it a minute or two, see what it does, see how it reacts, which I did. And you guys can see I didn't get stopped out because I did say, and again, I'm not recommending people to do this. I gotta go back. Let's see. Yeah, so I got in there 662 versus 640, and again, if you guys look at the chart, it did, it did crack 640 there, came down to 632, and again, I wasn't in big size, so I had that wiggle room if I wanted to. Again, I'm not saying it's the smartest thing to do, especially for a newer trader, but ended up working out here, ended up getting back over 650. And then here, ended up doing another swipe here on some volume, right? On some volume. And it started to hold here, started to hold over 660. And now you can go back and see, I actually did, I gotta go back again, it's alright though. So I did actually add I did actually add back in there on CAAS. And why did I do this? The plan was to add over 7. I put in Discord there. I was looking to add over 7. But honestly, it was 215. It was 220. I felt like this. I felt like if it was going to go, it was going to go now. Yeah, I didn't think, if it made this swipe, I felt like this was its last try. I didn't think it was going to come back in again and swipe again. I felt like if this was its last try here. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to look to add here around 660 again. Position myself well if it gets over 7. So I did. I got in there again, 660, adding size, about 75% size. Yes, it did elevate my my risk level, especially if it recracks 650 instead of 1.2R. I'm looking at maybe 2.5R, not 2.5, maybe 2.2, 2.3R loss, which will put me at max loss in the day. But again, I was confident. So the swipes come in on volume. Now it's saying, where did we go? So, yeah, now I was saying, big swipes. It should squeeze over 7 here on this try. And Alex was like, nice. I think Alex took it too. Pretty rare to Alex take a small cap trade, but I guess he saw the potential too. 8 plus was the final target. So again, 8 plus was that target. So, I was waiting for that target. Why was I looking for $8? We're at 660. You think you're going to get all the way to 8? Yes, I do. I did think that riggers were going to push us over the highs. And they typically push these plays over the highs. Why is that? That's when we get the most liquidity. It's when we get, the majority of retail longs buying the high day breakout. It's where we get short stopping out. So I did predict that they were going to rip this over the highs. I sold a little bit at 750, very small. It was like 20% size, 25% size over around 750. So I'll show you guys my exits here. So again, sold some there, higher. Never mind. I thought I sold some at 750. I didn't. So sold some there over the highs at 760, 770, and then look at the rest. $8, 820, 830s, 840. So we'll sell a majority there over $8, and I did make around 9R on this trade. And I did lose 1.2R on this trade. So guys, just showing you that how important it is to maximize, these trades. My trade was made, my month of November was made up on 3 trades. It was CAAS, it was GTEC made 11.5R, and it was HOFV made 10R. So really my month was made on 3 trades. That's it, guys. That's it. You could just take 2 or 3 trades to make your month. You could take 1 trade. And the majority of the rest of the month was losers. I think this month I didn't take many trades. I think I took maybe, 8 or 9 trades, and maybe I won 50%, 60% of them. Not the best accuracy. But again, maximizing those R's, right? So that was really what I did well this month, is that my winners were very big. I was patient with my winners, right? I let them ride. I try to maximize my longs to its fullest potential. And I did. On all those trades, I really nailed them. Those were 3 home run trades, and I was waiting for them, right? I waited for the right setup, waited for that, the low float, the high volume, the short trap, waiting for my wash trap and squeeze patterns, my patent patterns, and it ended up, working out really well for me. That trade yesterday was really nice for me. I was at that moment, I was only up like 17R, and again, I guess only up 17R, Nick. It's a good month. So that trade yesterday put me up another 8R. So now I'm around 25R for the month of November, which is nice. Nice month, 25R. And again, some more commentary here. A lot of guys, crushed it in the room. Sterling was nice. Sterling had good patience on this, and you guys could see, right? And in the end of the day, our system is king. F accuracy. And it almost got to $10. And then today, look at today. Today it's at 11.45 right now. So squeezed up all the way up to 13.60 today. Really nice play on CAAS. That was a trade. That was the thesis behind it. They waited for the end of the day. They, trapped more shorts, early on, midday, trapped some shorts, filtering out these longs from pre-market and earlier in the day, soaking the float, locking it up, waiting for end of day, knowing shorts don't want to hold this thing overnight, and squeezing them out into after hours too. So really well played by, the big hands, big money here. Nice, really wave 3 pattern, very predictable setup here. On CAAS, we've seen this before. Make sure you guys are always tracking the path, studying your setups. And to me, this was a very high quality setup. I would say earlier in the day, more of like a B- setup. I would consider this an A setup end of day for me on the long side. So really awesome job on this trade. And I hope you guys enjoyed this recap. I'm out. Peace.